have to face are trials and tribulations, they should not define us, this I am sure of. They should become a part of us in the way that we carry the knowledge we have gained from them and apply them to our everyday life. My name is Mariah, and I want to inspire people. I want to show people that they're not alone with their feelings or their problems. I want to be seen in people's eyes not as a survivor, but as a living human being, because surviving and living are not the same thing. Sorry. I want to be all these things, but if anything, I'm just myself. When I look back on it, I think that being a 14-year-old is a stage in your life when you are exploring a new part of yourself. You're going through puberty and all this overdose of hormones and all these new feelings that you didn't know were there that are starting to show. But then again, I guess I wouldn't know because I was not a normal 14-year-old. I am not trying to put myself in a special minority as if I was more superb than the average 14-year-old. The average 14-year-old just does not come down with a life-threatening illness. I started my 14th year the same as any other. I spent New Year's with my longtime friend as I had the past 2 years before. On January 13th of 2013, I officially turned 14 and celebrated with a couple of my friends. Sometime at the beginning of February, I began to notice a strange lump in my armpit when I would shave. It was round and hard, and it would hurt to run the shaver over it. I wasn't sure if having a lump in your armpit was an abnormality or not, so I did what all teenage girls do when they don't have answers, and I asked my mom. She told me that my shaver was probably irritating it and that she gets this all the time. We decided to change my deodorant, and she assured me that if it got any worse, we'd ask my dermatologist about it at my upcoming appointment. Time went on, and my lump got seemingly worse and turned into lumps. When I was babysitting one evening, I was lying on my stomach with the kids, and I got a sharp pain in my collarbone. This happened many times before I finally touched a spot in my neck and realized that a lump about the size of one in my armpit was growing in my neck and just above my collarbone. When I would try to lay on my stomach, my collarbone would be squishing the lump, thus causing the pain in my neck. My lumps would ache and I wouldn't be able to sleep at night, tossing and turning with little aching pains radiating through my neck and armpit. Finally, my mom decided I needed to see a doctor. It started with one trip to our family doctor. He felt my lumps and couldn't decipher what they were. This resulted in us going to many different appointments for various different tests, all of which came out negative. One evening, at one of our many trips to our family doctor, I said to my mom, "What if it's cancer?" And she got upset and told me not to be ridiculous. "Do you think this could be cancer?" my mom asked the doctor. He explained to us that it could not be cancer because cancerous lumps don't move, and mine did. He seemed frustrated though, being that every test we did would come back negative. Ultimately, this meant that it wasn't one of the smaller, less harmful diagnoses. "I'm going to make you a famous doctor," I told him at that appointment. Sometime later, our family doctor suggested that we see an infectious disease doctor at Dayton Children's. I think that was our sign that this was no longer something he could help us on. We made an appointment with the infectious disease doctor around the end of February. I remember after he was done with his examination, he turned to my mom and said, "Can we be real with her?" And I'm not sure why this offended me because, hey, it's my body, you can be real with me. My mom proceeds to nod her head and he tells us that there's a possibility of Hodgkin's. He says it in a quiet voice, like it's some sort of secret, as if he still might scare me. But the truth was, I didn't even know what Hodgkin's was. When he was done talking to us, he set us up on an appointment to see a doctor down in the hematology oncology clinic. "What's Hodgkin's?" I'd asked her, and she said it was cancer. In that moment, I didn't really feel anything. I did not feel shocked or scared or worried. Maybe after a while, I felt a little surprised. Like, cancer? Really? I felt like the possibility was not even there, because cancer does not happen to kids like me. Cancer is what kills your favorite character in a novel or brings a good plot for a TV series. Acknowledging that cancer was real and that it could be nestled inside me did not seem real. It, of course, was not an official diagnosis or anything, but it was still a possibility. In the hematology oncology clinic, I met a doctor named Dr. Broxton. I found myself lying on the bed again and having all my lumps examined and felt. He decided then that we should have the lump in my armpit biopsied. My mom had a ton of questions, most of which could only be answered in time. Luckily for us, Dr. Broxton was very patient with us and did his very best to answer all of our questions. Finally, we were sent to the surgeon to make a biopsy appointment. This was the third doctor we had seen that day, when originally we had planned on only seeing one. We also had my little brother and sister with us, and we had been to the hospital since we had been in the hospital since early that morning. We were all exhausted emotionally and physically. We scheduled my biopsy for the very next day. I'd never been in surgery before, but for some reason I felt more excited than nervous. I feel like I should be ashamed of the way I felt during the before process. I didn't really think of the negative outcome of the possibility of having cancer. I was more thinking about how cool it would be if I could have my very own hospital room, or if this meant I could drop a couple of pounds. But at the same time, maybe focusing on the possible good outcomes of this was what kept me sane. The next morning, me and my mom woke up before the sun had even risen and headed out to Dayton Children's. It had snowstormed that night, the night before, so I had been set on wearing my pajamas for surgery. If I was going to have to get up at the break of dawn for surgery, I needed to be comfy. We got to the surgery wing of Dayton Children's, and I had to do the typical before surgery requirements: paint a cup, get a wristband, and then wait for the administrator to give us the anesthetic. That morning, I had been in a very goofy mood, and I had prompted my doctor several times to let me have cupcakes through my IV tubing because I had a mean craving for cupcakes that morning. Why do you like cupcakes so much? I can remember him asking. I also got the honor of being cared for by some really awesome nurses. One gave me a scrub top as a first surgery souvenir. I had also requested that my nurses time how long I could stay awake before the anesthetic kicked in and knocked me out. The biopsy went well. They had taken out the lymph node in my armpit. We were going to test it for cancer. They told us that we would have our results most likely the next day. I like to call this part of my story the waiting period. The day after my biopsy, the hospital called and told us that it would be a couple more days. So we waited. And after that, they said it would be a couple more days. Waiting to find out if you have cancer was not an easy thing. During the waiting period, my parents were sort of on edge, and you can't really blame them either. The waiting period was when I got progressively worse. It began with low-grade fevers hitting me on a regular basis. Then that evolved into me not being able to eat, and I ended up losing around 15 to 20 pounds. I would wake up in the middle of the night in hot sweats. I had went on a small trip with my friend around this time to one of my sister's gymnastic meets. Her mom told me she knew something was wrong when I fell asleep before everyone else, me being a die-hard night owl. Finally, in the beginning of March, we got a phone call from the hospital. I had anaplastic large cell lymphoma, which was a form of lymph node cancer. My family was devastated, but we had to keep moving forward. When life gives you a roadblock, you have to continue forward and find a way around it. I was not scared when I found out about my cancer. Somewhere inside me, I knew I needed to go through this trial to become the person I am today, and that I had an absolute trust that God would bring me through this. As we all know, a result of having chemotherapy is losing your hair. This was the thing that was the hardest for me. My hair held sort of a pride to me. I'd never cut it before in my entire life, and it was one piece of myself that meant the most to me. I made a decision to donate my hair to Locks of Love for kids who would be going through what was waiting up the road for me. I donated enough hair for 2 wigs that day, and I have not regretted the decision since. Soon after we found out I had cancer, I got my port put in, which was the device that would be used to put my chemo through. I was lucky enough to have my grandma and my mom and dad at the surgery to support me. Once we had my port put in, we decided on a chemotherapy plan where I would have a treatment for a week in the hospital, and then I would have 2 weeks of rest at home before beginning another week of treatment. Dayton Children's has made my experience with cancer so easy. I cannot explain how grateful I am to have this journey with them. From my hospital room to my nurses to all of the opportunities they gave me, I couldn't have asked for a better group of people to take care of me. My nurses became my best friends and even helped me make a Cancer Ninja video. The rooms are cozy and convenient, and you never felt like you were being mistreated. I would not be here today without the wonderful care and services of Dayton Children's. I would like to thank them from the bottom of my heart for all that they have done for me and my family. Through the hair loss and the needle pokes and that one time my IV pole got knocked down in the hallway and I scared the crap out of everyone, thank you, Dayton Children's, you guys rock. In July of 2013, I had my last chemo, and I have been cancer-free ever since. It has not been easy, but I'm slowly becoming... It has not been easy, but I'm slowly becoming the Mariah I was before all of the cancer drama. But like I said in the beginning, I have a new part of me that I carry around and apply to my everyday life. Cancer will never be a burden to me because I am now a better person. I do not take things for granted, and I have experiences that have helped shape me, but not define me. If anything, I am thankful for cancer because I take it as God giving me a chance to show the world how strong I am. You should all know that I am no more special than any of you. I believe that we are all given opportunities in life to show what we are made of, and I hope that my story will in some way inspire you to go out and face first. Thank you guys very much.